He made unexpected comments about gay priests during a news conference yesterday on his plane. The Pope said, quote, "If a person is gay and they accept the Lord and have goodwill, who am I to judge them? They shouldn't be marginalized. The tendency is not the problem. They are brothers." Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Roman Catholic Archbishop of New York, we're pleased to have him this morning. Welcome.
Charlie, Gail, I'm pleased to be here. Thanks for the invite.
What was the Pope saying, and why did he say it now?
He said it, and this is what I'm amazed, and I think as journalists you would appreciate this. He spent an hour and 21 minutes in as calm and as personable as he could be on that plane coming back.
Look at this picture.
This is phenomenal. I mean, that's longer than presidents of the United States said with the press. You all must be delighted about that. You think we can get him on this show?
With your help,
yes,
and God's
put it
will.
forward, yes.
What he's saying, and what he's trying to say, Charlie, in answer to your question, is he's articulating well, in a beautifully tender way, the traditional teaching of the church. That while certain acts may be wrong, we would always love and respect the person and treat the person with dignity.
But are you saying that he says, love the sinner but hate the sin? Is that?
Yeah, that's the classical expression of it. Or the better expression of it would be Jesus when he met the woman who was going to be stoned to death by adultery, and he threw all the people off, and he said, "I don't condemn you, but don't sin anymore." In other words, I love you and respect you, but I'm calling you to virtue and perfection.
It does not appear to be a change in doctrine, but it certainly is a change in tone. Is it
You might have a good point there, Gail. People are always saying, can we expect now changes in church teaching? Of course, Pope Francis would be the first to say, well, my job isn't to change church teaching. My job is to present it as clearly as possible. But you're onto something, Gail, when you say it could be a change in tone or emphasis. So what do we got? We got, you might say, two levels or 2 points of church teaching. One would be the immorality, in God's view, of any sexual expression outside of the relationship of a man and woman in lifelong, life-giving, faithful marriage. There's one point of church teaching. The other point of church teaching is that a person's identity, respect, the dignity and love that he or she deserves does not depend on anything, sexual orientation, how much money we got, if we got a green card or immigration papers, if we got a stock portfolio, doesn't depend on anything other than the fact that we're a child of God made in his image and likeness.
What would it take for the church to change its attitude about homosexuality being a sin?
Well, I don't think that probably is not possible, but excuse me, I don't think you pardon me for saying this, Charlie, I don't think you expressed it right. Homosexuality is not a sin. Right? Homosexual acts are. Charlie, I don't think you expressed it right. Homosexuality is not a sin. Right? Homosexual acts are. Homosexuality is not a sin. Right? Homosexuality is not a sin. 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 Right? Homosexual acts are. Just like homosexuality is not a sin. Right? Homosexual acts are. Just like heterosexuality is not a sin, although heterosexual acts outside of marriage, lifelong, life-giving, faithful marriage between man and woman, that would be sinful. A pope couldn't. Homosexuality is not a sin, right? Homosexual acts are. Homosexuality is not a sin, right? Homosexual acts are. Homosexuality is not a sin, right? Homosexual acts are. Homosexuality is not a sin. Right? Homosexual acts are. Just like heterosexuality is not a sin, although heterosexual acts outside of marriage, lifelong, life-giving, faithful marriage between man and woman, that would be sinful. A pope couldn't do that. You see, a pope inherits certain revelation, and it's his job to guard that and to pass that on. That comes not from him. The church doesn't make that up. We inherit that from God's revelation in the Bible, in natural law, so he couldn't change that if he wanted to.
Let me quote the New York Times this morning. But the fact that he made such comments and used the word gay was nevertheless revolutionary and likely to generate significant discussion in local dioceses. Revolutionary.
That gets back to Gail's point. I think we got a question of emphasis and tone. A gentle, merciful, understanding, compassionate tone. That may be something people find new and refreshing. I, for one, don't think it is, and I hate to see previous popes caricatured as not having that.
So were you surprised when you heard that he had...
No, Gail, what surprises me is that people are surprised. Charlie, wasn't it with you? I was on at Easter time,
yes.
And I got tons of mail thinking I had said, you asked me, you put me on the spot, and you said, what would you say to gay? I'm glad you did, thanks. What would you say to a gay couple that came to you and said, what does the church say to us? And I said, the church says to you, we love you, we need you, come on in, you're welcome. People thought that was revolutionary. What surprises me, Gail, is that people are still surprised. The church has always, maybe we haven't done it well. In fact, I said that morning, Charlie, maybe we need to do it better, and this is going to go a long way in showing that while we are rather cogent in our teaching, we're equally compelling in the mercy, the graciousness, and the respect with which we should say it. So I welcome what the Holy Father said as a chance to kind of bring to the fore that other aspect, the style, the tone.
Before you go, because it's a big...
Cogent in our teaching, we're equally compelling in the mercy, in showing that while we are rather cogent, we need to do it better, and this is going to go a long way, in showing that while we are rather cogent in our teaching, we're equally compelling in the mercy, the graciousness, and the respect with which we should say it. So I welcome what the Holy Father said as a chance to kind of bring to the fore that other aspect, the style, the tone.
Before you...
In showing that while we are rather cogent in our teaching, we're equally compelling in the mercy, the graciousness, and the respect with which we should say it. Teaching, we're equally compelling in the mercy, the graciousness, and the respect with which we should say it. Teaching, we're equally compelling in the mercy, the graciousness, and the respect with which we should say it.
Pope Francis facing a critical reception in that Catholic nation, the Pope addressing the unrelenting shadow of scandal and international outrage, speaking of the Vatican's pain and shame, but some calling it too little, too late. ABC's David Wright is with the Pope in Ireland.
Today in Dublin, Pope Francis got an earful about the Church's response to the sexual abuse crisis. Some of the signs there in the crowd clearly not meant to welcome him.
Above all, Holy Father, we ask that you listen to the victims and survivors.
Pope Francis did listen, sitting down behind closed doors for an hour-and-a-half meeting with 8 survivors of clerical sexual abuse.
We're hopeful that
Hour-and-a-half meeting with 8 survivors of clerical sexual abuse. With 8 survivors of clerical sexual abuse. With 8 survivors of clerical sexual abuse. With 8 survivors of clerical sexual abuse.
We're hopeful that he will challenge what he referred to as the high church or the elite within the church who are guilty of corruption and cover-up. He literally said that they were filth in the toilet.
Francis acknowledged people have a right to be outraged by the Church's response to what he called repulsive crimes against children. Repulsive crimes against children. Repulsive crimes against children. Responds to what he called repulsive crimes against children. Responds to what he called repulsive crimes against children. The Church's response to what he called repulsive crimes against children. Called repulsive crimes against children. And he said it remains a source of pain and shame for the Catholic community. Mike.
Hi, hello, and...
Who wants to be a drag queen when they grow up? Who is ready for a story? This one is called Worm Loves Worm. I can too, says Worm. We can both be grooms. The hips on the drag queen go swish, 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 swish. I'm a girl.
Drag Queen Story Hour is fantastic because it addresses all of these issues of gender fluidity and self-acceptance, and all of these topics that are real, are very, very real.
But those are people who think that gay people are sinful or evil or, bad to begin with. So, we're sort of just starting from such different places that it's kind of irrelevant to me.
It was great. So much energy. Did you like it? Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for in all of our outings, is to present different ways of being in the world and make that fun and available to my kids.
Penelope wanted to dress kind of cool, but Tiny sort of wants her to dress kind of normal. Do you get it? Everyone thinks that this girl is a boy because she's a little bit of a tomboy. Who wants blue? Tomboy. And thinks that this girl is a boy because she's a little bit of a tomboy. And thinks that this girl is a boy because she's a little bit of a tomboy. And thinks that this girl is a boy because she's a little bit of a tomboy. And thinks that this girl is a boy because she's a little bit of a tomboy.
Now, my friends, yes, I thought I'd seen it all. And then we have this, a drag queen read to children, looking like this. Then everybody saw the shocking connection that it had with Michelle Obama. Yes, my friends, are you wondering why a drag queen is reading books to children? Well, we'll tell you. Persuade Liberty Writers reports that the Michelle Obama Public Library, oh yes, in Long Beach, California, well, they had hosted a drag queen. It happened this weekend. Can you believe it? The drag queen read books to young children to celebrate LGBTQ History Month. Now, this shocking photo of a man dressed as the spawn of Satan was posted to Twitter and Facebook by the Long Beach Public Library. Okay? Like they were bragging about this. But of course they realized the mistake they had made and the outcry that it would ensue because of it. And then they almost immediately took it down because, well, average folks like you and me, yeah, this is a bit much for us, okay? LGBTQ History Month. Now, this shocking photo of LGBTQ History Month. LGBTQ History Month. Read books to young children to celebrate LGBTQ History Month. Now, this shocking photo read books to young children to celebrate LGBTQ History Month. A public library, oh yes, in Long Beach, California. Well, they had Persuade Liberty Writers reports that the Michelle Obama Public Library, oh yes, in Long Beach, California, reports that the Michelle Obama Public Library, oh yes, in Long Beach, California. Well, they reports that the Michelle Obama Public Library, oh yes, in Long Beach, California. Well, they had hosted a drag queen. It happened this weekend. Can you believe it? The drag queen read books to young children to celebrate LGBTQ History Month. Now, this shocking photo of a man dressed as the spawn of Satan was posted to Twitter and Facebook by the Long Beach Public Library. Okay? Like they were bragging about this. But of course they realized the mistake they had made and the outcry that it would ensue because of it. And then they almost immediately took it down because, well, average folks like you and me, yeah, this is a bit much for us, okay? Wouldn't you say? Now, from this graphic posted by the Long Beach Public Library, the Michelle Obama Long Beach Public Library, you can see that the target audience was clearly children. Thank you to the families who joined us at hashtag LBPL for a special drag queen story time with guest artist Zuchi Muchi.
Hi, my name is Lactatia. I'm like at RuPaul's DragCon right now. I just went and did a panel with Junior Mean, who's like my favorite drag queen ever. Come on, anyone who comes up to me and says, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan. Oh my God, can I get a picture with you?" No. Are you a lactator? Are you a lactator? I don't care about my fans. I care about my lactators. I'm gonna find out who's lactating today. Come with me. Yep. Hello. So I'm here to ask you a few questions. Now you might not know what this means at first, but are you a lactator?
Not yet. Hopefully, someday.
Are you a lactator?
Of course I am.
What's a lactator? Are you a lactator?
Yes.
Are you a lactator?
No.
I am a lactator, honey.
How are your thoughts on lactatia?
On Lactatia, I think you're fabulous. I think you're amazing. I'm so glad to see people like you out here doing your thing.
You are fabulous. I think the confidence in you is so inspiring. It's unbelievable.
Are you familiar with the drag queen Lactatia?
No, but I would love to find out who she is.
Yeah, I'm an 8-year-old drag queen. Get it right?
Are you Lactatia?
I just told you that.
Oh my goodness, she said me too, bitch. Okay.
How do you bring out your inner drag?
For me, like big shoes, you understand, like the skirt, something like Victoria Beckham, Christina Aguilera.
Oh, at night, when I come out dressed up with my red dress with black shoes and wear my orange wig.
Love it.
Any kind of glitter brings my drag queen out.
I think what brings out my inner drag queen is the fact that you can create whatever you want with no rules and really express yourself in a way that a lot of people can't express, and I feel like that's what brings out my inner drag queen. I've gradually done more and more to myself as time has gone on. Like just like 5-6 years ago, this would have never happened, but as like time has gotten more progressively better, I love what people have been doing with drag, so I've just been doing it myself.
Drag is an all ages thing. Drag should be an all ages thing, and some people consider it provocative. It's not inappropriate. It's not provocative, and it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their kids do. So, because I think it's very fun, and it makes me feel very good about myself. Now I'm gonna ask you this question, so because I think it's very fun, and it makes me feel very good about myself. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their kids. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their kids. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their kids do. So, because I think it's very fun, and it makes me feel very good about myself. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their kids do. So, because I think it's very fun. And it's not something that parents should be afraid of if their kids do. So, because I think it's very fun, and it makes me feel very good about myself. Now I'm gonna ask you this question one more time. Are you a lactator?
Hells yeah.
Are you a lactator?
Yes, I am.
Go on with your day.